Hey guys, I'm in the middle of the Pisgah stage race and just cleaned this thing up. And I was thinking, I thought it might be helpful to do a video on some things that I do other than just clean my bike to make sure it's ready to go for the next stage. So yeah, let me show you some things that I do. So I mean, the first thing you're gonna wanna do is clean it really well. This thing was super dirty and hard to find things wrong with it when it's caked in mud. So you're gonna wanna make sure, you clean it, drivetrain super well, all the things. Just dry it off, lube it, and then time to do some inspection. First thing I always start with is, the cassette, just making sure everything on the cassette is nice and good looking, making sure there's no leaves and stuff stuck in between the cogs. I also just check and make sure there's no bent teeth. Looking at the chain, making sure the chain looks nice and uniform, making sure there's no pinched links or anything like that. I measured this chain before the race, and it wasn't past wear. It was at like 50%. Maybe just keep an eye on that. Probably something to do before you get into the race is make sure your chain will make it through. Another thing I always check for is brake pads. Sometimes it's easier to take the wheel off. I've already got the front wheel off. You just peek on in there and check your pad wear. I check these, they're good to go. Then check your rotors. It's a good thing I did this because checking out this rotor here, must have dinged a rock and I've got some scratches on the rotor. So I've got another rotor I'm gonna throw on for tomorrow. Another good reason to clean the bike is to clean the tires off. Once the tires are nice and clean, you just wanna spin the tire around really slowly and just look at the whole thing. Make sure there's no nicks or small punctures. Make sure there's no stands coming out anywhere. Check the tread. And then also check the sidewall all the way around. Make sure there's no weird cuts or like thread showing. Too much thread showing could indicate a lot of wear. These tires were new for this stage race, so yeah, everything should be good here. But always check them out. Then you get down here to the wheels. I always like to run my hand over the spokes like this. Make sure there's no loose spokes on either drive side or non-drive side. Make sure the wheels not loose, give it a little shake, make sure your bearings are dialed. Same thing with the pedals, give those a little shake, make sure there's not a lot of side-to-side play that would indicate worn out bearings. And also just look at those springs and everything. I know I struck my pedal on a couple rocks today, so just want to make sure everything is still intact here. Same thing for the front wheel. Just run your hands over those spokes. These wheels were true. They are true. I mean, these Astral Serpentines, they're straight as an arrow even after 500 miles on the Colorado Trail. So not too worried about it, but always check just to make sure. Give the headset a little spin here. Everything should be nice and fluid. There shouldn't be any noises coming from this thing. If so, pretty easy to take it apart, repack it with grease. Always check your shock and your fork. Make sure you don't see any weird stuff going on with the seals here. Make sure there's no oil coming up. If there is, you probably got some problems and you might want to take this over to the bike shop. Lastly, you just want to go through the gears. Make sure everything's working really nicely. Something like that might indicate you need to adjust your cable tension, so I probably want to tighten my cable tension a bit. Come behind here and just give the derailleur and the hanger a little speck. Sometimes you hit things, you don't even know it. I mean, this derailleur's seen some stuff. It's got some scratches on it. Not from today, just in general, but just want to make sure that's all fine and dandy and straight. It's one thing to bend the hanger in the middle of a stage, it's another thing to start the stage with a bent hanger. Those things are easy enough to just pull off and put a new one on. I always recommend traveling to a stage race with a spare hanger. Again, these are all things that I just kind of check over, Once the bike is clean, in between each stage, just to make sure I'm not gonna run into any unforeseen problems out there. This is not like a full bike breakdown, rebuild, all that kind of stuff. This is just little things you want to check over. You know, if you see nicks in your tires you're not comfortable with, or you got a lot of thread showing on your sidewalls, maybe it's time to swap those tires out. I'm sure I missed something here, but that's pretty much what I look for. Let me know if there's something that I missed here, something easy that could prevent some problems for the next day's race. Otherwise, good luck at your next stage race, and fingers crossed, no mechanicals.